Okay, then, sort of in our last video on wrapping up the nebular hypothesis, then, you can see that most of this stuff now is sort of described. The moons here, I think, is something more specifically that came out in previous videos. Those definitely would have come from collisions, as we saw. And I have one other example where moons would have come from. I'll tell you about in a minute here. These are definitely covered, I think. This is definitely covered here. And let me tell you a few more things about some of these tilts as we go just through these last few slides here. So here's sort of where the tilts would have come from. So maybe originally everything was nice and even and uniform. In fact, maybe even right here, this might be the Earth right here. And maybe the tilt was originally straight up and down like that. Would have been very nice. But then suddenly something came in, some rock came in and went hit, just collided with us here, you know, pow, something like that. And of course we ended up like that. And so that's likely where all the planet tilts came from, just getting hit by something sort of post-formation. Mars, in particular, has 2 small moons. Not nice and large like ours because there wasn't there's no collision that caused this moon to occur. There's 2 moons, Deimos and Phobos there. And these were definitely formed by gravitational capture, which is something we spoke about a few videos ago when we spoke about how our own moon might have formed. That's one of the mechanisms that might have formed a moon. It didn't happen that way for the Earth, but did for Mars. So if this was Mars right here, it's just definitely conceivable in this case here that maybe Phobos or Deimos was just sort of passing by like this. Again, just some junk from the period of heavy bombardment that eventually got pulled in by Mars's gravity and started orbiting like that. Although my understanding is that the orbits are not stable. Both of these moons are gradually decaying into Mars, and sometime in the long, long future they'll crash into Mars and Mars won't have any moons anymore. But they were definitely very small moons with gravitational capture. Something like this. That's the surface of Mars, and that's what one of the moons looks like. Looks like that's Phobos right there. So it definitely just looks like a rock that got stuck around them. The planet, not a really large moon the way we have, that was caused by the massive collision and ejecting all this material. Also, we can go to question number 38 and sort of ask the question, why would we go look outside and say thank you to Jupiter? Well, Jupiter has done this a few times, even in sort of recent history, that you might have this nice solar system. So Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter. Let's just stop there. It gets too big. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. And then there's this big sucker Jupiter sitting here. So what Jupiter's done a few times, when something sort of came in from outer space, maybe some rock or something like that, that came maybe from the Oort cloud or the Kuiper belt, that might have been sort of, you know, bad. Might have, say, here's the Earth right here. Maybe it's headed right towards the Earth. Well, what happens is when it comes into this sort of region here is Jupiter is so large that there's this D here. Remember, the force of gravity here is m1, m2 over d squared. Jupiter just will pull it into itself because it's so large. Its gravitational pull is so strong. So maybe it would have headed in this way to sort of the inner planets to cause some trouble, but Jupiter just would have hit it, and the pow is on Jupiter. So that's why we go out whenever we can. We just look up at Jupiter and go, thank you. Well, thank you for what? Thank you for having such a strong gravitational pull and very much behaving like the vacuum cleaner of the solar system. Anything that came in that might have caused some havoc on another planet was sucked in by Jupiter's gravity and collided with Jupiter. Here we go. Jupiter, the solar system's big bully, takes a punch. So this was just in 2009, so about a good 11 years ago now. But you can see that Jupiter does get hit by things from time to time, and those are some of the scars of something big coming in that, who knows, might have caused some problems with some other planet. I'm not saying it was on direct line to Earth, it would have hit us or anything, but for whatever reason it diverted and got hit by Jupiter. And this has happened a few times in recent memory. Okay, so that's all I have for the nebular hypothesis.